I'm Jessica Karch. I'm the incoming president of the UMass Boston SACNAS chapter. We're really excited to introduce our new virtual series, Ciencia y Arte. In this series, we're going to showcase interviews from scientists, artists in our community. We're going to be asking them questions about their process, their inspiration, and how science and art intersect in their lives. We're excited to share a range of works from sculpture to performance pieces inspired by Hinduism, topology, and injury. In this time of social distancing, it can be easy to feel disconnected. We're excited to welcome you into our community. Enjoy!
Hi everyone. Today I have the pleasure to meet with Gonzalo Bacigalupe. Hi Gonzalo.
Hey, how are you doing?
Fine. Thank you so much for joining us and for to be part of this special edition of Ciencia y Arte. We are so glad to have you. And first of all, I would love to ask you, what are you doing today? Like, what is your area of study and what are you working on?
Actually, the paintings that I wanted to show you for this particular initiative, they're really connected to my work. I do a lot of community mapping. I work at doing disaster research work, but the work is basically educational, and how is it that citizens can participate from the process of developing disaster resilience. And one of the things we do is we use drones and we use maps to have people have conversations about their territory. And so a lot of my paintings have begun after I sort of like recover. They start to look a lot like cartography. And in fact, the exhibit I was working on at the end of last year, it got canceled because there was a lot of social movement stuff here in Chile, and then it was going to happen now in March, April, and then we have COVID, so it just no exhibits. So the paintings, which the series I was working on, that exhibit, and those are all painted. I mean, they're done. It's called Uncertain Cartographies. Is this idea of how is it that we tend to think of the map as the territory, and we know that the map is the map. The map is not the territory. There's many ways to represent it. Even when we see a map in Google Maps, what we're seeing as a representation is one way of making sense of that territory. This particular painting is called Humedales. It's in Spanish. It represents a particular territory where water and water somehow gets mixed with the ocean. So in some way, it tends to have this notion of how the vegetation and the fresh water might interact with the ocean water. And this is one of the territories where we've done a lot of work related to environmental education. How is it that freshwater rivers and mini lakes that exist close to the ocean serve as a way of mitigating tsunamis? And how is it that the growth of the urban growth in some way threaten not only the ecology of the place, but also it does not prepare people to withstand the potential tsunami. So that this painting, of course, is abstract, but when I show it to people, they can see the territory. They can have a conversation about it. People can see, oh, that's the water, and this is where the birds set up. And in some way, it construct the territory in a way that allows people to see this uncertainty, the how is it that you cannot fixate the territory? Territory is also live, you know, it's changing, it's in flux. And that's something that is difficult to have a conversation with people using sort of like a map that is based just on GPS locations or an equation or just a formula. So yeah.
So it kind of works in both ways, like your science inspire your art, and your art inspire also the approach to science again.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, in some way, science is about measuring, right? It's about somehow give value in a sort of like quote objective way, so that you can somehow you know, the science, and in some way art, it's about meaning, and it's about subjectivity, it's about human, you know, it's how we make sense. And so in a way, you know, if you put them together, not all art is like that and not all science is like that. It's, of course, a generalization, but you need both. You need the ability to inspire people, for instance, and often an equation might not necessarily be the way to do so. You know, I'm thinking about the COVID and how, you know, this catastrophe in countries like the United States, it has to do a lot with our inability to understand exponential growth, right? Which in some way, and so actually, you know, I've been experimenting with abstract art that is even more fluid. I mean, and you know, things like this.
Oh, that's
in
so
some
lovely.
way, yeah, and or I have here, put it here on my table here to show you, or things that in some way are even more, you know, have the, I mean, you don't even, almost don't work, you don't use a spatula, but you're not, you're sort of like letting the material to speak to you rather than you speaking to the material in a particular way. You know, in this,
sometimes that could be hard when we come from a place of science, then we want to control everything, and then you go to the art and let it flow. It's kind of a relief.
Right. In science, we speak about outliers, right? And we control for the outliers. And in controlling the outliers, what we are doing is creating a reality that really doesn't exist, because reality has outliers, right? And actually, the outliers could be central in understanding. So, you know, this painting here, I don't know if you see the details, but there's this thing
texture.
This texture that is called crackle. It's sort of like something that breaks the paint, and you know, you paint and you put this thing and you put some other layer, and somehow, you know, and this overall painting is also similar to the one I showed you at the beginning. It gives a sense of the ocean, the water movement. Actually, this painting is upside down. Let me. It should be like this. It has a sense, and that's because usually the light is at the top. Usually, but in this painting, you know, here you see that breaking of the paint, which is so really, you're breaking it. It's like, it's almost, it's like when there's a drought, and you know, I began experimenting with this technique because in some way, I think this series is called, the previous one, the one with the water, the marsh stuff, the marches. It was about that and certain cartography. And here, I'm calling this the quarantine series, right? Quarantine stuff. And we all have that breakup of the material.
Yeah.
Somehow, you can see it there better.
Yeah, it's amazing. I really like it.
Yeah, and so in some way, I have this one there's another one that is not finished. Has that thing. In some way, COVID, for a lot of people, but also for our society, is sort of like the breaking of a lot of things. There's a lot of loss. There's a lot of, in some way, to understand it, we have to change the paradigm. Some people say that it's not that anything broke, it's just that it made visible what was broken anyway, right? That's the case for public health, for instance, systems like in the United States and in other countries. So this abstract art, in some way, for me, it gives me a way of speaking about something that is complex.
Are there other types of art that you are into?
I do paint objects too, like this. You see this box?
Yeah.
So this is, I collect boxes of electronics, or it's sort of like recycling material, and then I wrap it in the right paper for acrylics or oil. I mean, not oil, for pastels or aquarellas, and then it becomes, my paintings do have, I love the material and the feeling of it. But this one definitely is three-dimensional. And in some way, again, is nature. There's here is more of a glacial kind of color. It intends to be very explicit about the three-dimensionality of a painting. So it can be, it is an object. It can be put on top of something.
Thank you so much for showing us your studio. I really love your work and the things that you have to tell us, and that they have a story. So that's very interesting.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gracias, María Celeste.
Gracias. Chao.